15% growth from an acquisition in month one whilst changing nothing. That's called the profit is in the purchase. Hi, I'm Jaryd Krause. I am the host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast, and today I'm speaking with Michael, who is a Buying Online Businesses graduate who had the goal to replace his income as a property manager and build a portfolio of online businesses so he can have more time freedom and travel. Now, in this podcast, Michael and I talk about his background of work and why he decided to buy an online business. We also talk about how much work he did during those 2 months that allowed him to get this great acquisition. And wink, wink, nudge, nudge, it's not about how long it takes, it's how many inputs you put in to that time frame of that you're actually doing the work in. We also talk about the price of the acquisition, how much it's making and its multiple. We talked about why he liked the business, why he bought it, and this is basically us two comparing good websites versus bad websites and highlighting what sites not to buy and why buy these other types of businesses. So really good clarity around what types of content sites to be buying, what to be looking out for. He talks about risk minimization and de-risking the business completely. He also discusses what he learned during the process of doing due diligence, what he learned during the process of trying to make money online as a whole, from thinking and starting about doing a drop shipping site with a course that he bought to moving his way all the way up to now owning an online business that makes him $3,000 a month in net profit. We also talk about his goals of building out a portfolio of online businesses, and he does share his advice on what you as a beginner or first-time purchaser or frequent purchaser should be looking out for when you're looking at making an income online. Now, there's so much value in this episode. I'm sure you guys are absolutely going to love it, but we do talk about due diligence, and that's a disclaimer that I need to make. If you're going to buy a business, make sure you know how to do due diligence. If you don't know how to do DD, it's such a tongue twister there, make sure you go away and get my framework. It's what I've used, it's what a lot of my clients have used to go away and buy great businesses. It takes the guesswork out of buying a business, and it also de-risks you from and helps you see risk so you don't go away and buy a dud business. Let's dive in. Do you have a website you might want to sell either now or in the future? We have a hungry list of cashed up and trained up buyers that want to buy your content website. If you have a site making over $300 per month and want to sell it, head to buyingonlinebusinesses.co/sell your business or email us at info@buyingonlinebusinesses.com because we will likely have a buyer. Details are in the description. Michael, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jaryd.
Well,
it's great to be here.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you here. Firstly, thank you for your time. I'm excited to chat about this acquisition of yours, and there's so much good stuff to share. But first, let's just start from the start. Why did you get into wanting to buy an online business? I guess, like, what was your motivation? Everybody's a little bit different. Sometimes it's similar, but yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, well, I think it won't surprise anybody if I say that I wanted some passive income, which everybody is in this game for, really. So currently, what I do is real estate. I'm into property management, which is it's real estate is sort of seen as passive, can be passive, but where I am, it's not passive at all. So it's actual property management, and so I was looking for an opportunity to diversify my business portfolio, really, to have something that I don't have to touch, that can work for me and earn for me while I do my day to day. And so that was my real motivation, just some passive income, really.
Cool.
And also to, as I say, diversify my business portfolio.
Yeah. And so what's like, is it that you want to get out of, real estate, like property management? Is that your goal? And what is your, like, I guess maybe 5 or 10 year goal?
So 5-10 year goal is, to have, possibly to retire if I can,
Right.
I suppose that's everybody's dream.
Yeah.
But I want to work on my own terms and I've already seen that by having this business. I haven't really touched it much for the last month, but actually, since as I'm speaking to you now today, it earned the most it's earned since its inception, and I haven't
Wow.
touched it much
Congratulations. That's
in
exciting.
this month. And it's been a month since I've owned it. And so that's really what I'm looking for. Passive income and to work on my terms. And
Mm.
um, as I say, I think with real estate currently, my ambition is to buy, and the interest rates at the moment are just terrible.
Mhm.
Uh, and so it didn't make sense from a business perspective and an investment perspective to purchase at the moment. So I thought, how else can I have that passive income and use my savings and do it in a sensible way,
Mm.
which I'm sure we will talk about that as aspect as well in terms of due diligence and making sure that you buy in a suitable and foolproof business.
Mm.
But those are sort of the reasons why I went into buying this business really.
Cool, cool. I love it. And how did you even find out about the like were you googling like make money online sort of thing? Like how did you come to the point like, oh, I want to, like, I get passive income and you want to make an income online, but how did you get to the point of like, or how did you make the decision between starting and buying, I guess, or knowing what sort of business to go with, or
Yeah,
venture, or vehicle, I should say, to own a business?
yeah. So that's a great question. So initially, I was searching. I looked online for ways to make money
Mm.
online, and I came across drop shipping, and I went through a 7-hour course, and I found that this is pretty intensive. And if I want to have passive income, this is not the way to go. And so I kept on searching on YouTube, buying online businesses, and you came up and you talked about content sites as a good business to have online. And so I really you know it really fit my goal to have passive income. So I really thought, okay, this could be it. Um, I already ruled out starting out a content site because, as I understand, there's a sandbox that you have to go through, and I didn't want to go through that. And I thought to myself, I've got the cash, so why don't I just um, invest in a business that not only is passive, but also a business that has already been established for quite some time, which this business has. It's been established for about 4 years, so it was a no-brainer really for
Mm.
me.
Yeah, like I'm really excited to get into the nitty gritty of the acquisition and everything, because it is a good deal, and I'm so happy to hear that it's made the most money it's ever made since its inception, and it's been around for 4 years, and you just bought it
Yeah,
at a really really good time. Uh, Also, real estate management, property management. You guys are lifesavers. Thank you for your work. Thank you for the work you do. For myself, that I love property. I own a couple of investment properties, and um, if property is not super passive, but neither is business. They're both semi-passive. But you guys definitely, like last week, I got the message, an email. Oh, this thing's broken in the kitchen, and these things need fixing. What's the course of action? And you guys go away. I typically pay a high price for a good manager, which I'm sure you are, to go away and handle it. So yeah, it's there's definitely things and decisions to be made when owning property, as an online business. I think they both just blend really well together. I think they're
yeah,
really good assets to feed off each other.
yeah. So I'm always going to be in real estate, and um, long term, I think it's great. It's great to park some money in there at some point if I
Mm,
decide to sell, if I uh, you know decide to accrue the profits with this business, and if I'm thinking of where to put it into, real estate is a good place to go. So
mm.
I'm definitely going to have one foot in there as I've got this business running as well.
Let's come back to dropshipping as well. You mentioned dropshipping. It's a very interesting one. I started out trying to run a dropshipping business and set it all up. I didn't know what digital marketing was. I sold hardly any products, and it was a fair bit of work, to be honest, without even selling too many products. And then I had bought another business that was a dropshipping business, and that was a lot of logistics and a lot of work, and it wasn't as passive. And that was, I think, it was the second business that I bought. It wasn't as passive as I had hoped or I had liked, especially compared to blogs and content sites. And so it's funny how people in the online space mention passive income, and you can achieve passive income by starting your own business and like dropshipping and all these other ventures. But the reality of it is so much different than what they're selling you, right? I find, and this
Mm.
isn't to like, I find just energetically, people find me, they come to me when they've tried everything else and they're like, I'm done. And then they go, oh, I'm like, this route's actually going to work. Like, I'm going to buy something that's already like, how can it not work when you're buying something you can see that's already working?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just out of association of being in the right space, people come to me when they're exhausted everything, all their other options of trying to make money online. But but dropshipping's one venture. Were there any other ventures that you saw that were like pretty attractive that you might have lent into and glad that you didn't?
Um, so I did think about going into membership sites. It's just I suppose I didn't go into it because I just didn't see enough of it to do due diligence on.
Mm,
Um, I saw more content sites, and that was uh, that was fine as well because it just meant that there was a larger pool of content sites to pick from, and so
mm,
um, that was great from a business investment point of view. I
mm,
also thought about doing SaaS, which also I suppose can have that membership element to it as well. But I listen to so many podcasts, and it as I understand, it can be hit or miss. And I found that I needed some technical uh, abilities to at least understand the software or the code, or have somebody uh, understand it. Um, in order to go into it, that someone who I can trust.
mm,
And I suppose I wasn't comfortable enough to have that as my first online investment, given that our you know part of running a business would be having someone else being a key part of it as well, and a lot of the success of it's riding on how well they do or how well they know the code and all that kind of stuff. And so I think what rolled out SaaS was for me was and content sites instead, rather in terms of what I picked was going into something that I can easily understand. It seemed to me that the learning curve was uh, less steep than SaaS. So I'd ruled out SaaS, ruled out dropshipping. It was between membership and content sites, but I suppose I just saw more content sites, and so I had a bigger pool to do the due diligence on, and so that's
mm.
why I went with that.
Yeah, cool. All right, I guess now let's just bring up the acquisition, and then we'll talk about all the things around it on your journey from jumping into Bob and the community and everything you did. What is the business? How much did you buy it for? How much is it making? What was the multiple? Are you able to share anything around like the industry it's in? I guess probably not. You don't have to share the niche or anything, but yeah, share as much as you are willing to share
Yeah, absolutely.
without
I
sharing
mean,
the domain name too.
like I was ever going to do that.
Yeah.
um, I suppose this information would help a lot of people out there who are on the fence. So I'm very comfortable with sharing as much as I can.
Thank
So
you. Thank
it's in the hobby industry. So I bought it for $80,000, and it's made $2,600 over the last 12 months. Although, as I
on
mentioned,
average monthly income.
so yeah, average monthly
Yeah.
income, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so as I mentioned to you before, it's literally just made it's the traffic this today has been the most it's ever been. I'm going to find out tomorrow how much I got today, which I'm very
Cool.
much looking forward to. But I say that to say that at the moment, at least for the last month since I've had the site, it's doing about 70% more traffic than compared to the previous year of the same month. And so, as I say, the monthly income is about 2,600 at the moment.
Mm.
But this month, for instance, it's going to be higher than 3,000 if things go the way that they're going. And if they continue to go the way they're going, then the income is going to be much higher than that 2,600. So I'm looking at least $3,000 going forward as an average per month. Yeah. So yeah. And one thing I will add as well is that I bought it for 80,000, but actually there was a bidder that bid 82,000, but the seller didn't go for that person because they wanted to put down a low deposit and then pay it off over 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So when I told the seller that I was just gonna do upfront cash, he was like, "Yeah, even if it's 80,000, it's 2,000 less. I'm happy to go with you."
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I was pretty happy with that. That I saved a bit of money as well. So that was great.
Saved money and made more money than what you're expecting to make. Buying it at a 2,600 average monthly net profit.
It's about a 31x multiple, by the way.
Yeah, 31. So this, I remember when you submitted this to, and for everybody listening in the community, in our Bob community, I review due diligences, and we release one a month where I go through with you and do due diligence. And typically, what I do is I steer people away from buying these businesses, and that's my job. And I remember mentioning that to you, Michael. Was like, typically I get to the end of the deal and I stack up all the risks and work out why it's not the best thing to buy and help you guys see that. And this one, I was a bit flabbergasted, a bit, whoa, hang on a second. This is still available for sale. It's at this price range at a 31 multiple. This time last year, it would have sold for, time of recording, this time last year, it would have sold for like a 42 to 5 multiple, especially since the traffic was increasing on the up. It had been for the last 4 years. And a lot of the other signs were really good. I just went through the due diligence again with not with you, but like just before this call, I went and had a look at the due diligence again and thought, wow, this is something that you should be very proud of. Like, it was a very, very good deal.
Well, I have to say that it was I didn't just stumble up on it. I mean, I think I sent you about how many DDs I forgot.
I'm not
I
sure.
sent you so
I'm not
many
sure. I was going to
DDs.
ask you, but a few.
So I've been looking for about 2 months.
Mm.
Every day. I mean, I think I might have seen over 100 sites. At least done 10 due diligences
Or
documents.
submitted at least 10 and then looked at probably 100 or more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is prolific and a lot in a 2-month time span. So I take my hat off to you. It's funny because people, I could put this, the title of the podcast could be, $0 to $3,000 a month in 2 months' time. But the people don't understand that it didn't take you, it wasn't the time that it was the time that you spent doing the work, but it wasn't a time frame of 2 months that allowed you to do it. It was how much work that you condensed into that 2-month time frame. For example, for you to look at 100 sites might take people 7 to 10 months,
Mhm.
or for you to submit 10 businesses for us to review, it might take people might be able to do one of those every 2 weeks. So it might take people 20 weeks to be able to get to that point. So I mention that because it's important for people to understand that time is not the measurement of success.
Mm.
It's inputs.
Yeah, I completely agree because it is quite a sizable investment, and if I'm going to do it, then I better do it right. And there were times when I was like, oh gosh, do I have to fill out this whole document? And it is a huge document, I have to say, Jaryd. You didn't make it easy on us.
Oh, I
Um,
do make it easy on you guys.
you do, you do.
Imagine doing it without the document. But
It
you're right.
that
You're right.
that
There is a lot of information in there, but yeah.
it's been such a lifesaver, and um, you know, however painstaking it was to fill out that document for each site that I thought, this could be the one. I thought, you have to go through that, and you have to do as much as you can, because there are so many sites out there, um, and as I say, buying a site, a good site, is going to be certainly a sizable, more sizable than starting a site.
Mm.
So you want to make sure that you make a good decision. So as painstaking as it was, I was very glad to go through it.
I'm glad that you did too. And what was the, other than just filling out the due diligence, or looking at all the businesses, what was probably the hardest part of, from starting the community to now owning the business? What do you think was the most challenging thing that you should help people be aware of before they embark on this journey?
Um, I suppose having the time and the patience,
Mm.
um, to because there are a lot of sites out there, and you have to sift through a lot of crap. Excuse my French, and you've got to have that patience to go through it. And there are going to be times when you find a deal that you think this is absolutely the best one. And I remember I sent you one on from Empire Flippers, and the seller accepted the offer that I made, and then in 24 hours, someone bid like 10% more than what the seller had agreed to, and they got the site, and I was put down. I was really down
Mm.
for about 1 week. I didn't do anything, but then I thought, I've got to be realistic. I can't just give up. It's going to take some time to find that. You know, yeah, I have to accept that it's going to take some time. So,
Mm.
I carried on, and having that patience was very important in that sense, because I could have just given up and said, "Oh, this doesn't work," and people are always going to outbid me if the site's good. But I mean, with the site that I ended up buying, it was good, and it was there, but I got it first. Well,
Mm-hmm.
someone else bid, but I was able to get it, but I had to be patient, and it took time. But you just got to make sure that you carry on doing the right things that you teach as well, Jaryd, and make sure that you're comfortable as well with your own set of requirements that come out of the due diligence framework.
Mm.
um, and yeah, I would say those are the two key things. If you do that, you're going to be fine, no matter how long it takes. Just you know don't give up, and just carry on, keep doing the right thing, and you're going to get a good site.
Yeah, I love it. What were some of the interesting things that you learned when you're looking at other businesses, when you're doing due diligence, like some risks that you saw that you're like, well, that's definitely not something that I want to take on, or other things you're like, oh, I didn't realize that, you know, I'd find something like that during due diligence. Like, what was your education like as a whole through
Right.
doing DD?
So for me, I found a lot of sites that were just um, cookie cutter, sort of like you know very
Built to
basic
sell
site.
crappy sites.
Exactly, and there were so many of them. There wasn't any love put in those sites. There wasn't any author. You could just tell that some of the content was written very poorly, uh, and it was just lots of rubbish out there. So what I found in terms of my education, in buying, in looking for a good site, one of them, which was really crucial, was that it has to have really good EEAT, which for those that don't know, expertise, experience, authority, and trust, which is this such a big deal uh, by Google in terms of ranking sites and penalizing sites. And it's yeah, it's got to do with how much experience and trust that the site um, shows. And so I found that a lot of the sites that were being penalized by Google that were having these steep drops in traffic and revenue, a lot of them didn't have any EEAT. They were very affiliate heavy, and you could tell that they were only there to, um, just to make, just to refer people to whatever products that will make them the most commission, as
Mm,
opposed to, the one that's the best products that for the person they're reviewing the products for to buy. Um, so stuff like that, and the content wasn't really there. Let's say there's lots of content that people just put out there so that that are just written for search engines. They're not
mhm,
written for human beings to actually read and
mm,
get any value out of it.
mhm.
So I kept on seeing a lot of these sites pop up, and as I say, I could tell, I could clearly, I could see that it was quite clear that Google was penalizing these sites, um, and there was a pattern there. So once I saw that, and looking at the diligence framework as well, which emphasizes on looking out for these things as well, I thought I have to get a site that's got that EEAT. If it's affiliate heavy, it has to have really good EEAT. The content has to be great,
Mhm.
and it has to be written for human beings as well as the search engines. So making sure that having a site that search SEO optimized, so that you don't have to rewrite a lot of the articles, but
Mhm.
also is giving a lot of value to the people that are reading it. I think those are the things that I've certainly in terms of education that I've have found that's so valuable, and I think it's certainly going to inform how I run the site going forward.
Yeah, definitely. You're buying something by doing that and weeding out all the ones that are no good and non-valuable. You've bought a far better platform to build upon. It's funny and interesting that when everybody comes to I want to buy a content website, is a lot of it is focused on how the site's performing and stuff like that, and how it's performing in the environment based on its competitors and Google. But at the end of the day, a content website is a blog, and it's what we call it. It's content, and the most important thing on it is the content, and all the metrics are byproducts of how valuable the content is. And a lot of
Yeah,
people are happy to, I wouldn't say happy, but will invest in a blog that doesn't have the best content, knowing that it's the metrics are looking good and then they can go away and update some content, create new content. Whereas if you buy something that's a good platform of great content from the start, the byproduct is that the data and the metrics and all the things that you track are going to be good. So yeah, I'm stoked that you bought a good platform that's actually got good content, because there are so many blogs out there
yeah,
that
yeah.
people have built to sell, and I can spot them a mile away. You can now spot them a mile away, but beginners can't, right? I don't know if you saw this as well, but typically the first business people send to us to review are trash. Did you find that, like, when you first started
Yes,
looking at businesses, you see how you changed the caliber of the businesses you started looking at?
absolutely. The first one that I sent, um, I thought was great. I thought this is the best thing. I have to buy this. I actually considered putting an offer before I send it to you,
You
and then
what? Sorry.
I said I considered putting in an offer before I sent it to you,
Oh, I'd never do that.
and
Yeah.
I remember that very excited, and I was like, and then I opened this email from Jaryd, and it's like this. You've got to do this is trash. This is horrible. I was like, oh my god. I was like, this doesn't make any sense, but it's great. Um, but that's one thing that I love about you as well, is that you're very upfront and you don't beat around the bush, and you just tell it as it is,
Mm.
because that really helped me a lot. Because if it wasn't for that, I would have just bought the lemon. But yeah, so to add to what you were saying, absolutely, I think the first 5 DDs that I submitted were were not good at all. Now that I'm looking back, at the time I thought they were great, but um, I mean, I know that you always talk about uh, that every business has risks, but um, can you turn those risks into opportunities?
Mm,
Um, and even if you can't, can you put things in place that would make sure that those risks don't become so large that they actually make it a bad investment? And so it got to a point where I could look at it. One of the things that was really important to me later on when I was looking at businesses is to um, ensure that it's as diversified as much as possible. And there are some things that you know you can't completely diversify. Like for instance, in content sites, lots of the traffic is going to come from Google, but there are lots of other things that you can make sure that is diversified as an example.
mm,
And even if there's Google traffic, you've got lots of Google traffic. What I found that I can build an email list. Uh, I can start looking at getting traffic on Pinterest and other stuff that
mm.
I'm now focusing on now that I've got the business as the next steps, for me to take the business to the next level. So I've actually I've signed up to a um, email marketing company to start putting email forms on the site. So um, yeah, those are things that, as I say, when I started out, I wasn't thinking about any of this stuff. I was just thinking about, oh, the traffic is going up. It looks fine. Yeah, let's just get it.
Yeah.
But then there are so many layers that you have to go through. Just because it's doing well now doesn't mean it's set up the right way to do well tomorrow.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah, good on you. Good on you for going away and purchasing something with help. There is somebody, I forget the person's name. I think it might be Rob, who joined the community and had mentioned he's bought two businesses and got completely taken advantage of. And he's finally joined, decided to get some help, and we're going to get him a great business to flip the script on his previous experiences. Because if you don't have guidance from somebody that's, I know I'm like praising myself and singing my own song and all that sort of stuff, but even if people just don't use me, I don't care. All I care about is people go away and find somebody that they can speak to that has got experience in the space that can point out things that are going to be non-beneficial or too risky for that person to take on. I don't care who you use, as long as you get help and you don't get taken advantage of, right?
yeah, I completely agree. So I mean, one of the things that made me decide whether to go with your course or another course was to was whether you had any skin in the game. So I remember I think I've seen probably all of your podcasts. I've gone through all of them, and it was quite clear to me that you did know what you were talking about, but also it doesn't it was quite clear that you've got nothing to gain by by me buying a site, buying a bad site. You've got nothing to gain from that. It was quite clear that with the way that things are set up, you're on my side,
Mm.
and and it's part of why you were able to be so brutal with my early DDs, right? Which was very beneficial. So it was quite clear to me that you just wanted the best for me in terms of the investment that I could make, and also that you had a skin in the game. So those two things were all I needed to decide that okay I'd go with you and sign up to the mastermind and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Love it. Well, what's it look like for you from here? Now that you've bought something, you've just opened the door to this new reality, I guess, of hang on a second. I went from trying to work out how I can make money online to now I own a business and I'm making 3 grand a month net profit. Where do you go from here in this space? What's your your goals? What do you want to do in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years with online businesses?
So my intention is to build this current site for about a year and then assess my options from there. my intention is to keep acquiring. I'd like to acquire one a business a year, and just keep build a portfolio. I might get in the area of flipping sites, um, later on down the line. I think I will always have online businesses in some sort of portfolio going forward,
Mm.
whether I flip some or not, because I think online is the future, and so yeah, those are my plans. But for from now until about a year, I think I'll just focus on this site because I'd like to have experience of actually running a site, a successful site, and have that on my CV, as it were. And uh, perhaps I might go down the route of seller financing. I use up all of I use cash for this, but I suppose seller financing, or taking a loan, a bigger loan, and getting a bigger online business. And I suppose that whoever's lending you cash is going to look at your experience in running a business yourself, and so that's a route that I could go through. But
Mm.
obviously, with that, I have to have that experience of running a successful site. So, um, a lot of options for me going forward in the online space, but it's definitely going to be in the online space. I'm going to have a foot in the online space for some time, and then I'm also going to have, as I say, a foot in the real estate uh, business and the other stuff I'm doing offline as well.
Mm. So, do you invest in real estate, or you're going to invest in real estate? Like, what is that? What's your journey with that?
So I'm going to invest probably when the interest rates are
Mm. Crazy.
are much better. At the moment, they're crazy, as you say.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm just waiting for the right time, and yeah, I'm always going to have a foot in there as well. So just keeping a foot in both, really.
I like it. I like it a lot. I'm personally going to invest in real estate shortly again. We settled on a real estate deal at the start of the year, and time of recording, probably 2 to 3 months away from buying another deal. The interest rates have gone up here in Australia, and they might do another one or two rate hikes, which I'm okay with. The more they go up, the cheaper the deals will get for me, and I'll probably buy at a higher interest rate, and then as it comes down, allow the growth of those markets, those property markets, to increase as more people can start to get lending again, and that'll increase the property price. So I'm purely investing for capital growth and parking money. And then what I like about property is as that money is parked and you get the capital growth, then if I want to get back into online business, I can take some of the profits from that investment. If it's a passive invest, like net passive income, I can take that, put some profits back into another acquisition, or I can actually go away and take equity out, which I know in the US is called a HELOC, equity line of credit. I know that you can do that in England as well, right? Where you can sort of take money from the growth of a property and reinvest it. And I think it's a really
Yeah.
good infinite loop of wealth of taking equity from one asset class, physical property, to putting it into
Mm.
digital property, and then allowing that digital property you purchase, say 3 grand a month, say you hold that for a year, that's 36 grand a year. You could go away and use that towards another deposit, right?
Yeah,
It's quite cool.
absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, real estate is a long game. As one man famously said, God isn't making any more land. So the price is always going to go up in the long term.
Mm.
So it's the end game, and real estate is it's definitely worth having a foot in, and I'm always going to do that. I completely agree with everything you said there.
Cool, cool. So, what advice would you share to somebody that is saying, "Hey, Michael, I want to try and make some money online. What advice would you give to them?"
I would say, uh, get some education, be willing to learn.
Mm.
Um, I would say that go with somebody that you can trust, vet them, look at their background, look at their profile. Um, do they know what they're talking about, and are they doing what they're talking about?
Mm.
And also, you have to be patient. You know, with everything, there's a learning curve, and it's going to take time. But as that time is going on, um, you know, you've got to stay the course. And however busy you are, you're going to find time here and there to at least invest into that education for your own good, so that you can make sure that you make the right decision, because you do want to make the right decision, and you need to find someone uh, with whom it's in their interest to make sure that happens, and that's what I would say is the most important thing you should look out for. You know, yeah, if you're going to get in the online space.
I love it. I couldn't have said it better myself. I just wrote an email this morning, and I think the start of the email says, who do people thank if in their success speeches most?" And say, for example, somebody that's receiving a trophy for winning an Olympic gold medal and they have an interview afterwards, or say somebody that has just won an Oscar or some movie award or whatever it is. So whether it's their acceptance speech or their success speech, who do they thank mostly? Their team, their family for
Mm,
support, and their team. And my
mm,
question in that email was, if you got a goal, get a team and get the best
mm.
team in the world that you can for that particular goal. Because without it, you're running around like a headless chook.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't say it better. I completely agree. I mean, there's another saying that you're the sum of the five closest people around you, right? And so,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
you know, if you do have a goal, surround yourself with people that are going in that direction
Yeah.
and have some knowledge in that direction.
Did you
And
go to Did
yeah.
you go to any of the? Sorry to cut you off. Did you go to any of the group calls?
I think I watched them on replay.
Oh no, we
I
don't do
watched them on
replays. Yeah.
on Facebook. I think there's
Oh, sorry, on the Facebook Live. Yeah, you came to one of
yeah,
those.
yeah.
Yeah, on the replay. Yeah, cool, cool. But yeah, in the community, I thought maybe you had gone to the group calls, the networking calls that we do, because that's
No,
really cool.
I I probably should have.
You still
Yeah.
can. Yeah. Well, Michael, congrats on what you've done. Exceptional feat in 2 months. I know you did a lot of work in that 2 months, so it wasn't just the 2 months that it took you; it was the work that you put into during that. So well done, and yeah, I look forward to hearing how you go in a year, and maybe help you do the next acquisition if you want. Otherwise, yeah, wishing you all the best.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you have me, I'm in your network forever. You don't have to worry about that. Yeah, for sure. And I'm grateful for your support. Thank you, Jaryd.
You're so welcome. Congrats. All right, everybody that is listening, thank you for listening. If you know somebody that is thinking about how do I get started in this online space and earn some passive income, share this podcast episode with them. Yeah, a lot of it was praising this service that we have in the Bob community, all that sort of stuff, but a lot of the lessons can be used for other vehicles as well. If that person does want to go away and earn an income from other vehicles, things like get a team, vet the person that you're going to work with, make sure you can trust them, make sure they know what they're talking about. So many great knowledge bombs that you shared, Michael. So really appreciate having you on, and thanks for everybody listening.
Thank you.
Hey YouTube watcher, if you thought that video was good, you should check out this video here on the 2 best types of websites beginners should buy. Or check out my playlist on how I made my first 100K from buying websites and how to do due diligence. Check it out. It's an awesome playlist. You'll enjoy it.